Moving on to our next session, we have the Honorable Minister Aaditya Thackeray ji, Minister of Tourism and Environment and Protocol, Government of Maharashtra. He is also an MLA of the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly from Mumbai, as well as the President of the Yuva Sena, a youth wing of Shiv Sena. In 2018, Shri Thackeray ji was named as a leader of the Shiv Sena and a member of the National Executive Body. Interviewing the Honorable Minister today, we have Ms. Aabha Bakaya, Senior Editor and Anchor, Business Today TV.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and this is a session that I've really been looking forward to with one of the most progressive young leaders in our nation today. Aditya, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Real pleasure being here.
So I wanted to start off with getting a sense of all of the progress that's been made. You've spoken a lot about your ease of living agenda for 2025, and we have seen clear measures building up towards that. Where are you in your overall plan? How happy are you with what has been done so far?
The biggest part of progress today is all of us is coming down under one roof, which was not imaginable when I got the first mail from Mr. Thadani and Mr. Sethi out here. And I was just telling Mr. Thadani I didn't even respond to that because I was worried that with the third wave, where do we stand to go? Is it possible to meet physically? Is it, would COVID come down? Because we've had a thick tail of COVID in the second wave. The good part, though, is throughout the first, second, and third waves, we had both physical and digital progress in terms of a couple of things. One is, of course, in terms of the industry and tourism. Tourism was completely shut. We were extremely worried. We were extremely careful, cautious about how we move forward. We would meet with a small group of hoteliers and people from the industry and see how can we take things ahead. And after all the meetings, of course, they would ask, Abhi, right from 25%, can we increase it to 30%, for restaurants? Can we increase it to 50%? Yeah. Can we do this? But what was beautiful is the whole group, about 4 or 5 of us, along with 4 or 5 officers, we actually reduced the amount of licenses from 80 to 10, which were required to establish a hotel in Maharashtra. Now, 80 to 10 was a huge jump. And coming down, normally governments love increasing regulations and love increasing licenses. So I remember Sanjay ji is here. I can see a couple of more faces who are in the same group. I remember Puneet ji is there, Devendra Barma ji, a couple of us, and Gogi ji also. So when we first sat with the officers and we had a list of the licenses required, half of them started laughing, saying, what license is this? Right. And I said, look, this is what you've got to apply for. This is coming to your department. And I said, no, we don't even, regulate this. We're like, yeah, but this is on paper. And this is why we've sort of been slow in terms of the intake of hotels. Although we're Maharashtra, we've got Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Nagpur, the whole of Sindhudurg belt. So once we've reduced that to 10, and we've reduced our NOCs from 15 applications to 9 NOCs, there's been a huge surge of applications for hotels. So that is one. The other part is, of course, all of this happening with the tourism space in terms of licenses, in terms of industry status, which was a huge ask since 1999. We finally got that approved for the hotels, and the hotels would be paying the same amounts of taxes and other rates as the industry does. But the other part that we're really focusing on is tactical urbanism. And the road outside, actually, for the longest time, has been terrible and was a private road. Just last month, it's been handed over to the municipal corporation. By the next time you have a conference here, it'll be a beautiful road, and that is the assurance I can give. But apart from that, any of us as, Indians, when we go to other countries, what we love doing there, apart from, say, going to monuments or museums or to things that are of touristy interest, is basically breathe clean air. Yes. Walk on the streets, feel that we're walking safely. And that's what the intention is here. If you go around Mumbai, if you go around my constituency of Worli and a couple of more areas in Worli and across Mumbai, we're trying to bring in more design thinking, aesthetics in traffic management, pedestrianization, bicycle pathways. So essentially, any person who comes in here, as a tourist, as a business person, as even a citizen, should be able to happily spend at least 4 to 5 days in the city, just strolling around and enjoying the city. I think the charm of the city is most important.
Absolutely, and we have seen some of those innovations. You talked about, status for the industry, and they've really been pushing for it, of course, also at a central level. That's something, in fact, very recently we even put forward, at a conference at Business Today to the finance minister herself, and she said she would explore that conversation further. What's your view on that?
Politically saying we are ahead of them, but if I make a comment, that will be taken too politically. But I believe it is important for us to treat the hotel and food and beverage industry as an industry. Because what I have been seeing, especially post-COVID, with the manufacturing industry going through automation, going through different changes of demand supply, employment in that sector is progressively going to go down. Whereas the skill set required for a food and beverage sector or hotel industry or tourism, even if it's an amusement park or a beach, you need human interface here. You need a human angle here. Even if you have, say, your iPads or remote controls to open your shades and call for food from the restaurant, you need someone to deliver it. You need someone to make it perfect. That magic is in the chef's hand. That magic is in the person who welcomes you into a hotel. I think that magic is only created by a personal human touch. And I've always believed that this industry, especially after COVID, is going to be a huge spawn sector, not just for India, but for the world, because people want to travel. Sure. I've been seeing when we do our rallies also, there's much more excitement in the rallies to attend rallies because people just want to step out. Yeah. They've been in their homes for 2 years, they've been locked in. Now we tried to pull IPL and successfully we've got IPL, all the games in Mumbai and Pune and Thane. So it's given a big boost to our hotel sector here and the ancillaries. But the fact of the matter is people want to travel. It's no longer the fact that people are scared of travel or hesitant of travel. They want to go abroad. They want to go state to state, see newer things, experience the different joys of travel. And this industry is only going to grow rapidly and going to absorb more and more people into employment. So it's only fair to give this status to the hotel industry.
Okay, so talking about travel, how do we make Mumbai a lot more competitive when it comes to Southeast Asia? Make it a hub when it comes to exhibitions, conferences, put it on the annual map. Are there plans to address perhaps further facilities closer to the airport, more infrastructure, as you also described, all these aspects that would help to facilitate faster and better growth for the city?
So if you see the history of Mumbai, right, from the pre-independence times when Mumbai was a 7-island city and was being built, the reason why this is the birthplace of cricket, the reason why this is the birthplace of politics, the reason why this is the birthplace of so many industries and dreamers and thinkers and social reforms, political reforms, is only and only because Mumbai has always been a PPP enterprise. It's always been a public-private enterprise. If you see across, right, from your museums to the biggest art galleries to big buildings of government, people have contributed in a private sense along with the government to that. You had people like Ready Money, you had people like, so many people who've built schools and hospitals and colleges out of their own funds, which are now known as CSR. Sure. Back then were just donations and contributions to name it after someone. And that is where we've sort of got perfection or that excellence. Okay. We've got industrial families looking at business out here, dreamers coming here, looking at bigger things. And going ahead, I think it's going to be a public-private partnership always because, conferences like these, conclaves like the one we had yesterday in Pune, which was the alternative fuel conclave, or the IPL, or many more sports events. Now, what we're doing is basically trying to have a radial pattern of development in Mumbai. We're looking at better roads, better pedestrianization, better parks. All of this is going on. Yet, like I said, this is all a part of ease of doing business, be it the licenses or the roads or things like that. We're also looking at ease of living. Yeah. And how do you enjoy the city? Now, one of the things that I had pitched back then in 2015, 2016, went into a little bit of controversy because of a lot of morality angles and political angles, and now we implemented that. We're hoping to start off with that, is Mumbai 24/7. Yes. Most of the people out here probably have traveled from all over the world. Some of us have late-night conferences and meetings. Some of us watch football games at 2 o'clock in the morning. Some of us have a flight to catch somewhere. Or you've just landed, and if you're hungry, or if you want to go and watch a movie or enjoy with your friends or family, where do you go? And Mumbai is largely a safe city. Mumbai has the tag of being a safe city. You can have men or women or children walking on the streets of Mumbai at 3 o'clock in the morning, being absolutely safe. And within an hour, you'll have someone jogging past you because people start off waking early for a early morning work day. So essentially, we're looking at ideas like Mumbai 24/7, better public transport, a new airport that's coming around Navi Mumbai, connectivity like the coastal road, MTHL. We're looking at a sports city around Navi Mumbai. And these are things that will actually give a boost to conferences because typically, anyone and everyone who's come here would stay in Mumbai for, say, 36 to 48 hours and not hang around beyond that. We're looking at ways to engage with them for at least another 2 days. And that's what the crux is.
So some of the measures, for example, Coastal Road, ongoing, bound to have an impact down the line. What have been some of the challenges in your tenure as you try to get some of this done? Where have been the delays? Where have been the snags?
Thankfully, no challenges in the political will to stand behind it. Everyone's been working together for a common cause. We also have a chief minister who is a hardcore Mumbaikar and understands Mumbai, so he's been at the root of all of it.
Yeah.
But the real point is, the biggest challenge for all of us was COVID. How do you manage the finances? How do you manage the revenues? How do you manage the taxes? And you're trying to help people with reducing the taxes or giving certain breaks, like in terms of the hotels that helped us and things like that. But how do you manage that? And how do you manage the people who are working on projects who want to go back home due to the fear of COVID? The first wave was a lot of fear. The second wave, we had a very balanced lockdown, very well-calibrated lockdown. And the third wave, we knew what the trigger point is and what to shut down if COVID is on the rise.
Sure.
So I think that was the biggest challenge. Apart from that, political things go on, and these are regular challenges that you face in an everyday life. So that's a professional hazard, not a challenge really.
Okay, slightly technical question, but given all the concessions that the state has taken, but for instance, the electricity board has still been hanging on some of the concessions. Things have rested there. They've not really passed on some of the concessions that
I know where that question is coming from.
Yeah.
No, we have been working on that because the electricity board runs on the orders of a regulator. And the regulator is up for review in November 2022.
Okay.
So till then, we are obviously passing on the benefit of the industry status from the government's treasury to those who have got the benefit. But right after that, we will be giving a proper status through the energy department as well, and we are only waiting for the regulator review. That's the only hurdle there.
Okay. And I know you described a lot of the facilities that are going to come up, but there still seems to be some pain in the industry feeling that there should be even further investment in infrastructure or in, particularly, for instance, in convention spaces and the like. Like you said, it's a public-private partnership model that's going to work. But if you were to look at Mumbai and the plans going ahead, you must already be conversing with industry stalwarts and the ecosystem. Do you see a Mumbai that's completely changed or transformed? Would you give it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
So more than change, I think Mumbai would definitely upgrade itself in the next 2 to 3 years. For example, the Coastal Road southbound, the GMLR, Worli-Shuri connector, the MTHL, Nariman Point Parade connector, all of these are projects due to be completed around 2023 end, 2024 mid.
Okay.
And this is only the infrastructure upgrade in terms of the roads. You've got footpaths coming in, you've got almost 10,000 electric buses, almost 50% of them to be double-deckers, to be coming on the roads by 2027, and 2025 would be at least 6,000 buses on the road. So that is the calculation we're going with. But the bus stops, street illuminations. The beauty of this thing is, again, our department, be it the MTDC, Directorate of Tourism, we used to get funds to the tune of 130 to 150 crores to maximum, say, 200 crores in the past whatever times. Right after we got into government, we've given it the budget of almost 1,300 crores. And almost all of that is focused on upgrading the basic infrastructure of tourism places. Now, we've identified about 10 districts in Maharashtra, something like Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri, Nashik, Chandrapur. We'll have a couple of them in, something like Sambhajinagar district, Nagpur. Apart from Mumbai, where you have a huge potential for tourism. And now what I personally understand as tourism is either a beautiful, great hotel or a monument or a thing to do. Now, we've got things to do as forests and safaris. We've got Tadoba, which is probably the tiger capital of the world. You've got beautiful beaches. You've got Ramsar sites. You've got spiritual places. You've got UNESCO World Heritage sites. So the whole thing between these 2 points is what I feel as tourism is. The vibe between either a great hotel or a thing to do. And that's what we're pushing. Along with this, again, what I feel as tourism is not tourism. It's always going to be the industry voices.
Sure.
And we're getting more and more industry voices in our policy making, because only then can we have that excellence of, this is the right thing to do. And we are keeping our policy dynamic. So, for example, even with the EV policy, and that's what we want to do with all our policies for tourism, every month we have stakeholder conferences and understand what's going right, what's going wrong, what to increase, what to decrease, what to tweak. That's how a policy could be, and that's how we're moving ahead.
Okay. Aditya, you've of course recognized the contribution that the industry can make when it comes to jobs, employment growth. And this isn't something you can necessarily answer on the center's behalf, but I want to get your insight. Because the industry still feels that they've been largely unloved, ignored. Being one of the industries that was hardest hit by COVID, there were still no concessions, or not enough. A little bit was done, of course, 10 years of loans and so forth, and rates, but it was still limited and within a certain bracket. Why is that? Why is the perception of the industry not changing? From what you've said, it's clearly changing here and now. And in Mumbai as a state, we're clearly seeing things being pushed through. But overall.
You can prod me to take me to the center and I can do stuff there too. But here, we've been extremely thankful to the hotel industry, to the food and beverage industry, to the restaurants industry, because all throughout times of COVID, in fact, more than us, they were calling us and telling us, look, where can we help you? Can we supply food here? Can we support you with rooms here? Can we support you with... And a couple of hotels actually converted themselves to hospitals in the second wave. So I think that was a great thing to do. On our part, of course, we were hardest hit as well as government because our revenues went down. But what we've tried to do is balance it out by paying out the property taxes for the hotels that have actually helped us in terms of giving us rooms or food. And I agree, there's a lot more to do, and we want to support them. We're looking at coming to a better place in terms of our own revenue so that we can support them grow further. So that's for Maharashtra. Yeah. For the rest of the country, not the best person to say before 2024.
All right. Talking about COVID, do you feel we're over it? The mask mandate has now been lifted. Yes.
It's right here.
Yeah, and everyone's heading towards opening up, as you can see, as we mentioned earlier, full room here today as well. Are we safely past it? Was it a little premature, you think, for an industry that's just recovering and worried about any possible setback?
I think that is a very complicated answer because for us, especially Maharashtra, the numbers were the highest. And that's also because our testing methods were most transparent, most accountable. In fact, we went behind all the people. We went up to officers and we said, look, you don't need to hide any numbers because hiding numbers is not your success. In fact, finding more people who've got COVID and treating them and sending home faster is actually more successful than trying to hide numbers. So that was the policy we followed, and that's why you see a lot of praise for the Chief Minister, for our doctors, for our frontline workers, and it's all their credit, and they've done really well. They've reached out to the people. That's one. In terms of being careful, we're, again, one of those states that have been extremely cautious and careful, rather painfully slow in terms of opening up. And, we don't regret that because today we can confidently say that, look, we've opened up 100%. There are no restrictions at all. We could pull IPL with the confidence of all the players who are important to play there, for all the commercial, angles and rights that they have built with different stakeholders. They know that Mumbai, Pune, Thane is going to be a safe place to hold an IPL completely. For the hotel industry to come here as a conference, to be seated here, mostly without a mask, but they are confident that, we're safe here. So they know that we are strict, but we're also safe. The fact is, today, Mumbai is on a safe ground, Maharashtra is on a safe ground. We have been testing around 10 to 12,000 people daily, even today. The number of people voluntarily testing is much lesser than what we used to do, say, 3-4 months ago. We were at 80,000, 90,000 a day. It's come down to 10, 12,000. But again, in that 10, 12,000, the people who are positive are anywhere between 10 to about 55, 56 every single day. So that's not too much of a number. Sure. The recoveries are high. Not many people are really symptomatic. 1 or 2 people are going to the hospital coming out of that soon. Mumbai is 100% vaccinated as of today. The second dose is done. And that, I think, is a huge credit because being 100% vaccinated for a city of 2.5 crore is huge. With a floating population, that's much more. So that is, I think, what has made us safer. The third thing is we know our trigger points. Now we know what the oxygen supply is like. We know where to shut down, what to shut down. If at all, God forbid, there is another COVID wave that hits us, we don't want to go for a blanket lockdown. We know what to, calibrate. So we are saying that we are largely safe today. We cannot deny that COVID has gone completely. COVID is here. We cannot deny the fact that COVID is out from the world. You've seen a couple of lockdowns around the world which we do not want to hit, for which we'd have to keep our ears to the ground and keep the mask to the nose. I think that is what is advised largely. And as long as you feel safe and keep testing yourself, I think we're good to go ahead.
As a leader, Aditya, for you, in your time so far, and you've picked up a lot of the, very new age ministries, and you've made some very progressive moves within them. But what has been the biggest learning for you in government?
Learning with the government is, I think, more than new age ministries, for me personally, they were the ministries, like you said, of today and tomorrow, young ministries. Yes. These were ministries always, and it was easier to ask for these ministries because no one really asked for them. They were the ministries that you wanted to punish a minister but wanting to keep in the cabinet. You give environment, climate change, and tourism. But I guess there was a huge turnaround in that. We've sort of got Maharashtra on the global map for environment and climate change. We've had people wanting to ask us about setting up hotels. Things like 2 hotels, I wouldn't name them, but in Sindhudurg, they had applied for their permits about in 1994. That was when I was 4 years old. And they were still pending. And when we came into government, there are things that keep just happening by its own pace. There are things that, you've got enthusiastic officers. We've got a beautiful MIDC team. We've got a beautiful MTDC team, all of them. But sometimes the files get lost. And when we got into government, we ensured that no files were pending. So we cleared both those files in the first 3 weeks of government itself. And now today I can, with confidence, say that we have zero pendency in terms of permissions. There is a response from us, and we're inviting more and more people. We're more open. We're getting private players to sort of advise us. We're getting stakeholders to advise us. So I think the biggest learning is to sit with everyone, realize that the government is never the wisest of all, and keep your ears to the ground, keep listening to voices around you, get feedback that is honest and true. Sometimes that you may not like, but yeah, try to adjust, tweak the policies and make it for them, because finally it's all of them that you are catering to.
And I agree. One thing the Mumbai government has been known for is that they do listen. They have been credited with that. So 2024, coming back to that then, what is Aaditya Thackeray going to be gunning for in 2024?
Listening to the people.
Give me more than that.
I think that's enough as of today, because if you, again, get me to a particular answer, you might have some agencies knocking your door as well.
All right, fine. Any questions from the audience for Aaditya today? You can take a couple if anybody would like.
Now, after I've said that, no one's going to ask a
question.
question.
Yeah, I know, everyone's a pin drop silence. All right, so with that, I'm going to close. Aaditya, thank you for being so frank, candid, and really helping to paint a vision for Mumbai, for Maharashtra, and what's to come. And we hope as an industry that things will only continue to get better and better from here.
Thank you, and we're always wanting to work with you. As an industry, we're wanting to improve ourselves, better our policies, tweak our policies. We've got to work together. So I think that is the intention, and that's the real intention for us to work. Let's work together and make this a better place. And please keep coming to Mumbai and Maharashtra, probably other cities of Maharashtra as well. And we're happy to have you here. Thank you.